Welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A report from Human Rights Watch has said that Israel is committing crimes against humanity and apartheid and persecution against Palestinians. The group said that Israel has a policy to maintain the domination by Jewish Israelis over Palestinians, including those who are its citizens. The executive director of Human Rights Watch explained that the oppression of Palestinians there has reached a threshold and a permanence that meets the definitions of the crimes of apartheid and persecution. Israel's foreign ministry has rejected the report as preposterous and false. The first international shipment of medical supplies aimed at stemming a devastating COVID-19 surge in India has arrived from the UK. Ventilators and oxygen equipment landed in Delhi, but far more will be needed, with India recording 320,000 new infections and deaths rising close to 200,000 overall. The US, France and Germany are among nations sending desperately needed aid. Meanwhile, the first train for Delhi, carrying around 70 tons of the life-saving oxygen, also reached the national capital. An intense fight has erupted in eastern Myanmar near the Thai border as ethnic minority Karen insurgents attacked an army outpost. Villagers said they saw heavy gunfire before sunrise at a military outpost, which the Karen National Union, Myanmar's oldest rebel force, later said it had captured and burned down. The clashes escalated days after the junta chief committed to immediately end violence in the country. Karen Group says 24,000 people have been displaced by conflict in recent weeks, including airstrikes by Myanmar's Air Force. The United States and Guatemala have agreed to establish a new joint border protection task force.
I look forward to working together. In
a virtual meeting, US Vice President Kamala Harris told Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei that the United States will give $310 million in humanitarian relief to Central America. The two governments will coordinate law enforcement efforts to tackle criminal organizations whose activities help drive migration, as well as open migrant resource centers to establish safe, legal migration. Meanwhile, opponents of California's governor have enough valid signatures to trigger a statewide vote on his leadership. Gavin Newsom, a first-term Democrat, was up for re-election in 2022, but the recall means he will now probably face a vote this autumn. The campaign for a recall vote grew popular amid criticism of Mr. Newsom's handling of the pandemic. California's Secretary of State said that 1.6 million valid signatures had been verified, some 100,000 more than was needed. Brazil's health regulator has denied requests from several states to import Russia's Sputnik coronavirus vaccine, saying it did not have the data needed to verify the jab's safety and efficacy. The board voted unanimously to not approve the vaccine after technical staff highlighted serious defects, citing a lack of information guaranteeing its safety, quality and effectiveness. Brazil has recorded more than 390,000 deaths, the second highest number globally after the United States. The UN has warned that the slow implementation of the peace accord in South Sudan is putting the country at risk of a return to large-scale conflict. A new report calls for the arms embargo to be extended and for new sanctions against people who hinder the implementation of the peace deal. The UN said the political, military and ethnic divisions in South Sudan are widening, leading to multiple violent incidents between the main signatories to last year's ceasefire, the possibility of renewed war, and nearly 100,000 people facing famine-like conditions. And finally, a glowing supermoon has dazzled night skies across Latin America. The extra-large moon rose high in the night over Buenos Aires, Santiago and Caracas cities. A supermoon is a name given to a full moon that occurs when the satellite is closest to the Earth. According to NASA, this year it has been called a pink supermoon, as it appears in April and named after an American plant, pink phlox, that blooms in the spring. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.